for tuning in to Turn to the Stars. I'm really happy to have everybody's support and with Turn to the Stars, and we're really excited because this week I have a very, very special guest, and she is from Leominster, Massachusetts. And her name is Michelle Hanson, and she's sitting right here beside me, and she is a Seashell Reader and an international author and a teacher of Seashell Divination. And I also want to add a lady who is well ahead of her time and a pioneer in the field of metaphysics, because what she's going to bring forth for you today is very special. And I just want to say a big welcome to Shelley. Welcome, Shelley.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I really appreciate this chance to tell everyone about the Seashell Kingdom.
Well, we have so much, so exciting today, this show, because what Shelley has been working on, I think, most of her life is really, really special. And I have to right away say that, you know, all of you are probably out there saying, what is Seashell Divination? And so I'm going to ask that to you, and I'm sure everyone's wanting to know exactly what this is.
Well, divination is generally getting information, possibly using tools to focus, but it's inner wisdom. And seashell divination is actually using the shells almost as a psychological tool to reveal hidden thoughts, hidden feelings that even if you're not aware of them, can be impacting your life. And so it's important for those to be brought to your awareness. That empowers you with options. If you choose to believe differently, you would create new experiences in your future.
So they're pretty much a tool that you can use to really go deeper into the psyche, into
Absolutely.
the
If you're open to it, they will probe very deeply.
You know, it's interesting as we sit here. Today is July 31st, 2012, and astrologically, we have a full moon that is just right on top of it. Its energy is very big right now, and that full moon that you'll see very full tonight is going to be, when it peaks, at 10 degrees of Aquarius, which is about the different things, the unusual. It is also about the collective. It is about all of us pulling together to help each other on our paths. And it is also about looking for that inner wisdom.
How perfect.
Yeah, and here we are, and Shelley's come to share with you her wisdom about her life work. So we did make a video, which we're going to play for you right away. And the music is by Anna Nalick, and the pictures are from Michelle. And the video I created, and we would like to share that with you right away. The song is called Shine, and it's all Michelle's pictures and her material. And we hope you'll enjoy that, and we'll be right back.
Oh, the night makes you a star, and it holds you cold in its arms. You're the one to whom nobody verses I love you unless you say it first. So you lie there holding your breath, and it's strange how soon you forget that you're like stars. They only show up when it's dark, 'cause they don't know their worth. And I think you need to stop following misery's lead. Shine away, shine away, shine away. Isn't it time you got over how fragile you are? We're all waiting on your supernova. 'Cause that's who you are, and you've only begun to shine. There are times when the poets and porn stars align, and you won't know who to believe in. Well, that's a good time to be leaving. And the past, it knocks on your door and throws stones at your window at 4 in the morning. Well, maybe he thinks it's romantic, he's crazy. but you knew that before. And I think you need to stop following misery's lead. Shine away, shine away, shine away, yeah. Here's a time you got over, how fragile you are, we're wrong. Waiting on your supernova, 'cause that's who you are, and you've only begun to shine. Yeah, you've only begun to shine. Won't you shine, 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 overshadow? Oh, oh, shine, 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 overshadow. I think you need to stop following misery's lead. Shine away, shine away, shine away. Here's a time you got over, how fragile you are, we're wrong. Waiting on your supernova, 'cause that's who you are, and you've only begun to shine. Yeah, you've only begun to shine. Yeah, you've only...
That was a great video with some history of Shelley's life and some great moments with her classes and all. You know, I know that there's many shells. There's a lot more shells than what we saw there, right?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
There's how many shells that you work with?
Well, I have 500 at my home, but different books say there are at least 100,000 different species out there.
Wow, wow.
So I just have a little drop in the bucket.
Wow. So, Shelley, how did your interest in these shells develop?
My parents tell me when I was about 4 years old, my grandparents returned from a trip to the beach, and they handed their little granddaughter some shells that they brought back with them, and I was transfixed. I wanted to know everything about them. And by the time I was 8, since that passion never left, my parents got me a book called The How and Why Wonder Book of Seashells, and it's question-answer format. And I got it into my head that I had to memorize the book and start a journal where I wrote down the questions with my memorized answers. And that journal grew to the point where anything that had to do with shells was fair game. So I was cutting up coloring books and magazines, and as you saw in that video, there's a little clip where people may wonder what that was doing there, but that's my aunt's shower curtain, because it was pink plastic and had shells on it, and they were crying out to be in my journal. And she granted me permission. So that's how supportive my family was of this impassioned child who wanted to know everything about them.
Wow, that's amazing. So your whole life, this has been front and center, most important, and you've made it your life, and that's your life work.
It is, and it's a mystery because I never lived near the ocean. I lived in western Massachusetts, so the only thing I can say is my name, I get to be a shell, because everyone called me Shelley all my life, not Michelle.
Right.
And perhaps that was the reason. I really don't know other than that, unless it was from another lifetime.
Right, right. Well, as I was making the video, you know, there's that whole process involved where you kind of step into the energy of the person whose material it is, which is you. And I was feeling like, you know, she has a roundabout way of bringing this material forward, but it was meant to be that way. You already knew it, so you were bringing it to the earth. Knowledge,
looking
the wisdom
back,
to the earth.
I see that was my path.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of it at the time, but what a great way to learn when you don't even know that you're learning.
Yeah, yeah.
And so then you can apply it later in life, because the knowledge I gained I thought was common knowledge.
Yeah, yeah.
And that served me well when I was working with them for metaphysical reasons.
And, you know, in talking to Shelley before we began the show, she has so much knowledge. As you can see, the shells that she has here on the desk are just some of your collection. And she's telling me about each one in the story that's associated with that shell, and it's so interesting. And how did you learn to use the shells to do readings for people?
Well, I love shells all my life, and I was gathering them just as a seashell collection for just the aesthetic beauty of it. And people who traveled brought back shells knowing my love of the shells. So I had shells from all over the world. When I was in my 30s, a person who saw my collection told me he heard of a shell reader. I didn't even know there was such a thing. But I was just starting to get into metaphysics in my 30s, and it was the marriage of my two loves. So I wanted to go for the reading and hounded this person for the information, which he never found. So he lit this fire in me, and just to salvage something, he said, why don't you use your own shells? And having never thought about it before, but I'd studied them all my life, I just, in that conversation, said, but everyone will know that this is the principle of the submarine, this one's poisonous, this one builds a raft, and I'm going on. And he said, I don't think everyone's going to know this.
No.
So I hung up the phone. I had over 200 shells, and it literally only took 1 week. I was looking for what's unique about each of these. That's its contribution to the language.
Right.
And that wasn't very daunting because they really practically have nothing in common. So finding something unique, for me, only took a week. Yeah. And that was the language. It took a while for me to be willing to tell anyone there was a language because I was very shy. But at least the language only took a week to put together.
Wow, that's amazing. So there's that process that you just explained that, wow, that's amazing. It is amazing. and definitely you can see it's a very unique science, if you will. Would you call it a science? Of reading the energy of a shell. And the other thing that comes to mind when I think about this, and oh, by the way, I want to say that Michelle is at she has been at the last 3 psychic holistic fairs that we facilitate at the yard, and the next being September 22nd, and Michelle is going to be there. Right, and she's going to be out front in the vendor section so that you can really see her shells. And I would really encourage you to go see her. It's a very special type of reading, one of a kind, and she teaches it as well.
I do. And I teach online as well so that I can have students from all over the world.
That's awesome. That opens the door, and truly I think the timing, as we talked about before, that I think that you would be really pleased with the wealth of information. I can just tell by the little bit at a time I've met Shelley years ago. However, it's interesting how people are being pulled back together of like mind at this time as the age of Aquarius starts to show its head more and more and more every day. And so what I think about is the benefits. What are the benefits that come from having a seashell reading?
Well, the shells, for people who are familiar with crystals, shells are crystals. They're just from the water element rather than the earth element. And everything you can think of for benefits for mind, body, and spirit that apply to crystals apply to the shells as well. And they are master teachers. They cover so many different topics, and they have so much to say. And so when I'm doing a reading, what will happen is those hidden thoughts, those hidden feelings that may be no longer serving a client, initially they're there because they benefited you in some way.
Right.
But now they're on automatic pilot and they could be limiting you. So the shells will bring that to your awareness to give you options. And so that they're not going to tell you what to do. It's not about predicting the future. It's about saying, here's who you really are in the present, including the hidden stuff. And so let you become aware, because you can't change what you don't acknowledge. And the awareness is the empowerment.
Right. Being aware of something is the first step.
Absolutely.
Right, and it's interesting because in having a reading, one of the most important things is the tools that come with it for the future of that person.
Yes.
Right, and that's what's so helpful. And certainly when you have a reading, that would be a part of the whole process of the awareness, and then here, what are the tools that this, is that how you would explain it?
It does. I was actually going to talk about the moon snail because we just heard that wonderful music, Shine.
Yeah.
And I think in Shell, and when I heard that song, to me it was the anthem for the moon snail. The reason I say that is the animal that makes this shell, it inflates its body 3 to 4 times the size of the shell by absorbing water into its foot. And to get back in the shell, it has to expel all that water. So in divination, it has to do with making mountains out of molehills or blowing things up out of proportion. And when someone is attracted to moon snail energy, it's someone who equates attention with love. So what they will do is have mountains out of molehills in order to gain attention, because if there's a disaster or something happens in their life where they receive compassion, that feels like love. So moon snail is saying that it's not a problem if you equate attention with love, but it's how do you go about getting the attention.
Oh, yeah.
And you can gain attention by inflating the wonderful things in your life. If everyone gets a 90 on a test, get a 95. So it's all about growing our light. And that's why I wanted to play Shine, because that's the whole point of Shine.
Yeah.
To shine, shine, shine. And everyone is waiting for that supernova. And that's what moon snail is about, blowing things up out of proportion in a positive way.
Oh, that's interesting. And the wisdom, because you're talking about the wisdom of that shell, how can a person use that wisdom in their day-to-day life? For instance, how would a person use the wisdom that you just described with that shell?
Well, the very thing that I said, if you know anyone who says, if you think that's bad, wait till you hear what happened to me, that's a moon snail statement, because what they're saying is, I need to one-up what the other person said, so you'll pay attention to me.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they take it in the direction of disasters, chaos, physical illness, because that's where they receive the compassion. But if you show them that you pay attention to the wonderful things, and they want your attention, and you start to then grow in their lives where they're going to be paying attention to the wonderful things. If they see you respond to the negative, they will need to create more negative. If you respond to the positive, they will create more positive. In a bigger picture, the shells talk about love as a wheel with all these spokes on the wheel. This is only one spoke. This is love as attention.
Right.
But there's the spoke of love as physical intimacy, love as words of intimacy. There's also gifts. There's also quality time. Spend time with me. Actions speak louder than words. And what we tend to do is pick one spoke and we don't value the others. So if someone is only valuing love as attention, they think that's the only way they can receive love. If someone is telling them they love them, if someone is sending them gifts, if someone is spending time with them, but not giving them the attention that they want in other ways, they will feel starved for love when they're getting a feast. So it's about seeing all the spokes of equal value. And that's one of the lessons from the shells in general, is value all the spokes.
Well, I'm getting out of what you're describing is that you're showing them the method how to change it into more of a positive vibration.
To give them other options, to empower them with other options.
Wow, that's terrific. That is absolutely terrific. And I would like to put on the screen your contact information, because this is how you can contact Shelley. That is her office address in Leominster, 34 Lynnhaven Road, Leominster, Mass. And her office email is michelle@oceanoracle.com. And her website is www.oceanoracle.com. And is that the best ways to reach you?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I will respond to any of those.
Yeah, great. Because for anybody who's really drawn, I was telling Shelley about, I'm a shamanic practitioner as well as an astrologer, and in a shamanic journey, and when I was learning, they showed me how to make. They, meaning my spirit guides, showed me what type of rattle they would like me to make. So I had to make my own rattle. And it's very mystical ocean type of colors. It's all glass with a crystal wand and blue wrappings of material and seashells inside the rattle.
Oh my goodness.
So it was...
It's going to be a special rattle.
Well, it is. It's done. It took me almost 2 months to make it.
Wow.
And so I use it in the shamanic healings that I do. So you work with the shells, and that's how you... extend a piece of you to the world through your wisdom and your knowledge and your
And I want people to
education.
realize when they're looking at shells that every shell is made by an animal. And so by studying the animals, that's where you see all the uniqueness.
Yeah, right. So we're seeing, like, for instance, could I pick a shell?
Sure.
And we could just talk about the energy of that shell. Let's see what calls out to me. Can I touch one of them?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to take the starfish.
Starfish.
So if I was to choose that one, what would be the energy of that shell?
Well, the first thing about starfish is it's not a shell, but I include it in the language of the seashells because they share the environment.
Yes.
It's called an echinoderm. And people may not know, if you cut a starfish in half, both halves grow into complete starfish.
Oh.
In some species, a single arm, which is called a ray, will grow into a complete starfish. So their capacity to survive is unrivaled.
Wow.
But starfish also have two stomachs because they eat oysters. They use their arms to pry open the oyster, and then their mouth is this little tiny thing in the center of all the arms, and the oyster's not going to fit inside. So one of the stomachs, they evert. They literally push their stomach out of their body in between the valves of the oyster, and it starts to digest the oyster into smaller pieces, which they can then send back into their body where the second stomach can complete the digestion. So what it's saying is survival over something that turns your stomach in some way. And that is root chakra. When you're talking about energy, the energy of survival is root chakra.
Right.
So starfish works with the root chakra.
Wow, amazing. Amazing. As you saw in the video, the starfish, we at one point, I think the words were shine overshadows, and you know, but it just seemed like the pictures were perfect with the words of shine.
I know.
And
I
the
was so impressed
starfish was
with that.
there. That's amazing. Well, thank you for describing that. Certainly, if someone is interested in having a reading, do they have to come to your office, or can they call you? Can this be done over the phone?
Absolutely. On my website, I have 200 shells, bird's eye view, and they'll see they're numbered. So they can pick by the number under the shells of what shells are getting their attention.
Yes.
And I also ask, when they get attention, it could be, wow, it's really beautiful. It could be, ooh, it bothers you. Either way, it counts. And we would work with whatever shells are getting their attention to do the reading, and that can be done on the phone or through email.
You know what? The vision I had, I have to share this with you. As I'm making the video, I'm thinking to myself, Shelley is a mermaid. She was a mermaid at some point, because how would you be able to sustain all, I mean, you've got to love it. You've got to love the energy. You've got to love the environment. So it must be deeply ingrained in your spirit and soul to do this work.
I'm always amazed because I keep thinking I can't be the only one who's thinking this way.
Yeah.
And so, fortunately, in my classes, I do meet other mermaids who come and take the class. So I have students in Australia, for instance. Right now, there's a mermaid in Australia. So I love being able to reach out that way to people. I can stay in the house and still give all the information to everyone.
Yeah, that is amazing. And could you tell us, I know we showed it on the video, about the books that you've published?
Yes. The first book I did was called Ocean Oracle, and that has a deck of cards. So this is the Ocean Oracle. It comes with 200 cards, so they can work with 200 shells. And the bird's eye view that I was talking about, I will just take this out for a quick little thing for the camera here, are these overview plates. So there's 200 shells by the time you look at both sides of both plates, and that's on my website.
That is amazing. That is,
and it comes with a little book here, a companion book, to explain not only what they mean, but why. So that it's educational as far as the behaviors of the animals or how they've interacted with us throughout history. And the Ocean Wisdom is taking maybe 20, 25 shells from Ocean Oracle, and then as you progress through the book, it switches to using the shells as energy tools. And there's a guided meditation in the back, which is a rebirthing guided meditation. And starfish is there for the root chakra.
Wow. Oh, great. And now you have a new book? Do you have a new
I'm
book?
working on a new book, and it's called Seashells, S-E-E, because I wanted to figure out how can I show people they can integrate the wisdom of the shells. So you'll see the logo here with the eye and the chambered nautilus as the pupil, and that's why the information has been integrated. And nautilus is the shell of ascension.
Oh,
So
and
that's why
so
I wanted to pick
appropriate
it.
for now.
Yes.
Right. And before, I know we're getting close to the end of the show, and I do want to make sure that everyone is aware. Shelley has a class that is coming up. Could you tell our audience about your class?
Sure. It's called Ocean Speak, and it's 45 weeks because I want everyone to have time to process the information. I used to throw so much information out, and we called it shell shock because it was just too much. So this way they have time to process, and along the way they have personal guidance from me. So they learn to do readings. We have homework assignments, and they also have a little family that gathers every week when we're in class, and so it's just wonderful to have that kind of support.
And when is it?
Oh, the October class will be starting on Thursday evenings, which would be 9 p.m. Eastern time, and it runs for about an hour or so each week.
So that's October?
October, the first week of October.
Okay, so what day does it start?
The first Thursday. I'm not sure of the date.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
it's on her website, though,
Yes.
oceanoracle.com. And can they register for the class on your website?
Yes, you can. You can email me with any questions you might have regarding this, and absolutely you can register online.
Can we flash that contact information one more time? And there is Shelley's contact information for anybody who is feeling drawn to I encourage you. This is a really, really great. I mean, I would really love to learn more. It is so interesting.
One thing I want to point out, by teaching online, I'm also able to show videos so they can see the animals in action, and that helps the information penetrate as well.
And it's how many weeks? 9 weeks?
45.
Oh, 45 weeks.
It's almost a year long. The advanced class begins after that, and that's another 8 weeks.
Wow.
So it does end up that they're with me about 53 weeks.
That's awesome. That is amazing. And before the show ends, we're almost to that point. Is there any overall wisdom that you can offer our audience?
I say that we are all in this together. And because of that, if you look at the world, there are teachers that don't necessarily come in human bodies.
Yeah.
And Mother Nature has so much to teach us if we're willing to listen.
That is great. Brings a tear to my eye because it's so true, especially now in the time we're living in. We all are in this together, and we can all each help each other in our own way, to help each other on our way. So I want to say thank you to everyone. I want to say thank you to you for coming up here to be on Turn to the Stars.
It's my pleasure. I feel honored, and thank you for inviting me.
And I want to say thank you to everyone who's watching the show, and I hope that you will make a note to see Shelley at the September 22nd Holistic Fair at the Yard. That's September 22nd, Saturday, September 22nd, and Shelley is going to be there, and I hope that you will make sure that you tell Peter and Lauren at registration that you want to see Shelley, and they'll make sure that you do.
Bring a shell and we'll see what message it has for you.
Yeah, that would be great. So I want to say, once again, thanks for watching Turn to the Stars. Thank you, Shelley, and I hope you all have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next week.